Next question is the bear market here already. I don't think we're in a bear market. I think we're just, there's been a healthy correction, but I wouldn't call this a long-term bear market. Bill?
Okay, so sometimes when a market goes down after a rally, everybody goes, oh my God, I'm absolutely buying the dip. And unfortunately, at that point, you know it's not over, right? It's only over when people are like, I'm never touching this thing again. It's going to zero. I can't take it anymore, okay? So this thing about there being issues with Binance, if you go back to an earlier question about should I dollar cost average in alts, that's why my answer was no, right? If you have people moving altcoins off exchanges, that can create like the type of forced selling that you had, I know, joke of the day, back in 1987, right? And for corrections to end, okay, you know, you have to have fear. Okay. And this is something about the SEC making the head of a legacy bank personally responsible for money laundering.
Wow.
So it's not just crypto, folks. They're on the warpath on this money laundering stuff, and they're not just fining people anymore. Okay. So, you know, CZ may not wind up in cuffs, but these guys all may wind up paying fines, right? And I think that can freak people out. Now, I know that sounds terrible, but people freaking out normally is a buying opportunity when the freak out reaches its peak. A bear market goes on and on forever, like 2018. I think with this news flow, you know, people are, it's just going to be like, oh my God, and boom, it's going to disappear. And then we're going to have to almost like restart the process, right? Go back to Token Metrics, look at the ratings, and it's almost like you're going to start over.
So actually,
so if you missed it, don't worry. You're going to get another shot, I think.
Let's combine that with this other question. So this person was asking, how low can the market go from here? Any thoughts, Bill?
Oh, of course. Okay, so, you know, when environments like this come along, I actually like to listen to like other smart people and see what they have to say, right? You know, I would love to be able to just sit in a room, meditate and think of everything, but sometimes I got to reach out and listen to other people. So we had one guy on our show saying, you know, Bitcoin could go to 7,400, right? You know, I think that's possible in this environment, only because, you know, if they just washed everything out, you know, altcoins, you know, if we're talking about like what's the worst case scenario, I think you're just going to have a chunk of the space, right? Like everything rallied, right? Every DeFi lending coin for speculation rallied, right? And only one or two of them are going to survive, right? So it's almost like we're going to like separate the strong from the weak. You know, predicting what the exact bottom is, I don't know. I think that as soon as we establish whether or not the president of the United States is actually going to get well or not, and if there's a hysterical move off that, I think regulators are done scaring people for the moment because there's enough scary stuff. So once elections uncertainty is removed, you know, the coins that are going to win long term will stop going down and turn around.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, somebody had a question from YouTube. Walker again with the questions. So question is, what would it take for altcoins to decouple from Bitcoin? Now, the altcoins I've seen that have decoupled from Bitcoin usually have two things happen. One, like for example, Helium Network, has no trading pairs with Bitcoin or Ethereum. All their trading pairs are in Tether. So that's been one factor. And two, they have some form of staking or incentive that incentivizes crypto users to hold that token. So with Helium, people are making money from mining, right? Or some projects could have yield farming. So I think those two have been, at least in my experience, the projects that have those two have fared better than other projects. But it's also not the case. So for example, I just shared this with our quant team because they're researching how to hedge using options. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Now let me share my screen. Just give me, okay, I guess not. Sorry, I'm doing this in Zoom. And Zoom is not playing nice. Okay, sorry, just give me 1 second. Because it was an image that basically showing all the altcoin returns. And I think this is something every investor should look at, because as fast as it comes is as fast as it can go. Right, so okay, I have it now. Let me pull up my screen. So this has been going around on Telegram, but projects like Curve, SushiSwap, I mean, if this is correct, this is down 92%. Right? So these are projects that nobody has been holding for the most part, right? So if anything, Ethereum has been a better project to be in at the moment as a result of this. So for anybody out there, if you're up and you made profits, you should always be taking profits. I know we kind of hammered that home back in June and July, and even August. But this is what happens if you don't take profits, and it is actually pretty nerve-wracking. So the average crypto correction is basically over 60%. And because for example, let's take a look at UMA, a project we like from a technology standpoint. It did a 15 or 16 nuts, I believe. So it went as high as $21 and then came back crashing to under $7. And this was after the Coinbase listing. But now, if you're a value investor, because Curve has good technology, and Curve is one of the most used products in the crypto space. So if you were ever bullish on Curve, Curve under $1 could be a possibly good time to accumulate. And I think it's wild, I think. Bill, anything to add? Looking
Sure.
at this table.
So on the question, how would altcoins decouple from Bitcoin? Well, you've got part of it up on the screen right now. Some of this stuff is down so much. I mean, I guess it can go to all go to 50 cents or all go to zero, right? But the thing about Bitcoin is held by a lot of wealthy people, right? There are tax issues involved with long-term hodling now, okay? So I'm happy Bitcoin is stable at 10,000, but if everybody goes to get out of their Bitcoin all at once for tax reasons, Bitcoin could look like an altcoin on the way down. Bitcoin history is filled with all these, huge drops. So I think that's how they could decouple. I mean, alt's down 90% or 70%, and Bitcoin sort of like catches up in a way.
Yeah.
Nobody in crypto wants to see Bitcoin crack, but there is a tax problem out there. And historically, as our systems will tell you, it's really not that good for Bitcoin when it just sits still. I would love to see it go back to 11,000 and hold up, but historically, Bitcoin just sitting around doing nothing is bearish.
Yeah. So some comments here. Ouch. When you put this up, this makes the reality clear. I should have taken profits. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of because the crazy thing, this happened in pretty much a month. Right? And this isn't just for, this is for the entire space. I mean, even good investors, traders have been affected. I mean, even us ourselves, like honestly speaking, for those who've been following our indices, it's happening, right? It's happened to anybody, right? So if we pull up the Token Metrics indices, they've been taking a beating too. To a point, our team has been working overtime to come up with new ways to hedge against the downside risk. So for example, we now have our first index that's negative based since the launch on June, end of June, right? And I'm still pissed off at this because this would not have happened if we kept it in stablecoins. Now, taking off the ability to hedge to stablecoins wrecked the index, right? So now we've put it back in, and this month, so I think somebody was asking, did we make the update to the price prediction? Yes, actually, it looks like it has been deployed. So let me go down here to take a look. Yes, yeah. So the update has been made. The fix has been made. So somebody was talking about. So the index now will recommend stablecoins, and it will filter out any tokens for price predictions that have negative price predictions. Because if it thinks everything is negative, it will just go to stablecoins pretty much. Right. So those are the minor tweaks we've been working on, because we definitely realize that people entrust us to help them make money and also not lose money. Right. So it's definitely been a bad month, but we're working diligently on fixing that, and that's basically through options. So, for example, the site we've been researching options is open. For anybody out there who wants to possibly hedge, obviously this is something that requires more research, not for newbies, but basically you could buy puts as a way to hedge. So, for example, if you think actually, maybe I could share this. Actually, but probably better for Jad to cover this. But the idea is think of maybe, I guess maybe Bill could kind of chime in on this. But options are really a way to hedge. It's kind of like insurance. Okay. Bill,
Sure.
could you explain to
Okay,
people
so
how they could hedge with options?
sure. So a put option, it's got some nice features to it. So let's say Ethereum's trading at, I don't know, $300. Okay. And you wanted protection for your portfolio if Ethereum went below 280.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You could pay a fixed amount of money. Let's just say $5 an option. Let's just say that. Okay. You could pay that amount, and if Ethereum went down, you'd lose money on your Ethereum position. But if Ethereum really went down, this option would really accelerate in value and help you cover your losses. Now, that sounds great, but with options, you got to be really on top of timing, because guess what? Options are only good for a certain time period. Okay. So there's a lot of strategy and a lot of charting and a lot of quant work that goes into what put you should buy and when. Now, one additional twist. Let's say Bitcoin's sitting around at 10,000, or let's say Ethereum's not doing much. Okay. Put options will be relatively cheap. Okay. I don't know if they will be with the BitMEX and President of the United States news, but crypto is stable at the moment. Now, once crypto starts going down, okay, put options start getting more and more expensive. So our don't FOMO policy applies to options as well. Because let me just tell you that big players make money selling options to people who FOMO into them. So you want to buy your protection when the market is going up or is stable. not when it's already started going down. The bottom line is puts and put options can help you. And, you know, there's one additional add-on, right? I have all these sayings, and you probably wonder why these sayings are so enduring, right? You know, fortunes are made by buying low and selling too early. That saying stays around because it sucks to buy something at 30 cents, watch it go to $6, take profits, and then have it go to 17. But you have to remember that you got to make your fortune one step at a time. And then there are also stages where you're going to want to protect yourself with the put options, right? You may have to give up some upside. Sometimes you may be wrong. You might buy a put and it might expire worthless. So one step at a time out there, you'll be okay.
All right, well said, Bill. Yeah, so we're definitely working on being able to provide that as a way to hedge for any downside risk. All right, so tell us what you think. With any comments or thoughts, we know the market is pretty interesting right now. I'll just keep it at that.